All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Empyrion Galactic Survival. I'm KnowItAllDM. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing great. Hanging out, doing some more weight tests. So I've been getting a lot of questions, both in comments and over Discord and such, about specifically about early hover vessels and the effect that the weight volume system has on them. And the weight volume system's effect is drastic. However, this is simply because of the way weight and volume actually works. So, like any hover vessel you would expect, if you are in, I've got three here that we are here to test with, and they are each of different level, from level 1, level 3, and level 5. And you'll notice the effect that that the weight and volume system has on them. Now, right now, I don't have anything in the level 1 or level 3 one. And I will show you why. Because right now, the only type of cargo box that you can put on them at level 1 and level 3 are the basic cargo boxes. You could, of course, put a container controller on a level 3 cargo box, or level 3 hover vessel. But if you did that, then, well, I mean, it would be the same as having one of these on here. So if you already have these on here, you're not really going to want to go ahead and replace it. So anyway, so these each have a volume of 125. The refrigerator has a volume of 250, which is odd. So interestingly, a refrigerator would be better if you like filled it up with refrigerators for regular storage as well as food storage. The only downside to that is that a refrigerator uses 5 PU energy when you put it in, and a cargo box uses 1. So you'd be using 5 times the energy output, meaning more fuel, if you simply used refrigerators instead of regular cargo boxes. But in any case, let's go ahead and get showing what the effect of these things are on hover vessels. So I'm going to get a couple of things of varying weight and volume. So, okay, if I were to get, say, these, okay, then you could put, hold on. In God mode, it lets you put everything in there. You could put 62 ores. Just drop it. You can put 62 ores in a cargo box. If you put it in a cargo box on the side, you're going to notice a noticeable tilt when you get into it, because the weight and volumes need to be balanced for it to actually balance out with an early hover vessel. Now, there are several ways to mitigate this. The easiest way is to simply, well, let's link here and pick it up. Put it in the middle cargo box, and you will be balanced because the weight is in the middle. It's not completely, there we go. Because all the weight is in the middle, it simply pushes down. Now it's in the middle at the back, so it's going to push down and back. Just like if you were to put a heavy barrel on the back of a pickup truck. You don't want to put it on the left or the right. You want to put it in the middle instead of on either side, because that will cause the vehicle to be pulled to one way or the other more heavily. You're going to want to also balance out the weight that you have. So if you have a whole bunch of ore, that like enough that this one can't carry it, because this can hold up to like 123 or something like that. And yeah, something like that. Anyway, 128. maybe 130. Anyway, but you're going to want to put your excess ore on the left, and then the right, and then the left, and then the right, and then balance out the last ones so that your weight distribution is balanced. Otherwise, you will have a tilted hover vessel. This is just simply the way that weight actually works in real life, and thusly works the same way in the game. So now for the tier 2, we have a much more durable hover engine. And so if I went ahead, give me this again, and I were to put this in there, let's just trash that, you notice a lot less of a tilt when you are unbalanced. And that is because the regular hover things, and yes, this one is on, it's just a visual glitch, just like this is on, it's just visually glitching. But because the hover engines have twice the output as the hover thruster. If you look at the hover thruster and you look at the force, that's 5 kilonewtons. If you look at the regular hover, it's actually even more than that. Where's the force? Engine force, 200 kilonewtons. So it goes from a measly 15 kilonewton force. That's what I was looking at there. That's like, okay. Yes, that is forward, back, left, and right kilonewtons. That's the hover kilonewtons. So that's 15 kilonewtons. And then I'm guessing that's what KN stands for. And that's 200 per each of these. So as soon as you can upgrade to these, you're definitely going to want to. Now, upgrading to the higher ones that take up 4 isn't necessary, because if you look at the tech tree here, you'll notice that these hover engines have 800 kilonewtons force. These hover engines have 200, which means this puts out the same force as 4 of those. So having 4 of them and having 4 of these is exactly the same for all purposes, for mass, volume, everything. The only downside, actually, okay, so it's less mass now. But before mass and volume was the thing, it was the same, but now it's different. And it's different volume-wise too. So you can upgrade to these to have less mass and less volume on your vehicle. But they also cost less than 4 of these. So if you're building a new hover vessel and want to put 4 there, just go ahead and put one of the larger ones. But if you already have 4 there, the only purpose to replace them would be to reduce the mass and volume of it. But in any case, this hover vessel here, I already have completely weighed down. Well, in here, this is as much stuff as you can fit in this one cargo box. And I got purposefully some of each of these because these are the primary elements that you're going to need to build a base, to build a starter, anything. So with your hover constructor here, we can go ahead and start building stuff for bases. Now, I've got the output container back here because it has less volume, simply because this thruster got in the way. And because this extends out to those, and it's got a lot more here than this one does. Now, I could have theoretically put a steel block here, and if that weren't a thruster, connected that, and it would have been about the same. But anyway, the reason I have these designed as such is the same left and right problem. This makes it where you don't have to worry about balancing at all, because each of these extensions counts as a cargo box for volume-wise. It just tacks it on to this container's volume. because this is the container controller, and the container extension just tacks its volume capacity on to this one. And so that way we can have a larger volume. The only downside is it has less slots. So if you're going to want to carry like a whole lot of something light or something that has low slot amounts, for example, if you're carrying a whole lot of grain, you're going to want to use you're going to want to use a bunch of these instead of a container controller and its extensions. So just little notes on that. Now, each of these vessels is teched out to the max of what you can minus weapons. I could have put like a weapon thing on here. You can't really put a ammo thing here because of this and this. So there's really no place to put an ammo box on this unless you want to convert one of these into an ammo box. But in any case, so we can go ahead, and if we go ahead, let's just do a base starter, you know, just a simple base starter. You'll notice the weight distribution go from the front to the back, but since it's all centered, you don't notice it. If I had it one of these and I had it from left to right, and I were sitting in there, as things were made, it would tilt further and further to the right. Which is why you want to put them either this way or one up here, one down here, covering the entire side, so that you can have a greater distribution of the stuff. Now, I tried putting one container controller over here and one over here, and what it did is it seems to put all the volume, like, it tilted to the right when I had the container controller over here and had the stuff go into here, because these are what most of the these are what most of the mass and volume goes into. And so when the container controller was over here, it sort of like shoved it as far over as it could, even when it was full up, and the thing tilted. So now that we've got this almost done, yay! So this thing has a 1-ton mass, which it's odd because it's a larger mass than just a core, but it is literally just a core. But I guess that's because this could be any type of core. And so all it requires is 6 steel plates, electronic computers, and optical fiber. But you'll notice when I get in here that it tilted back further because it actually now weighs more back here than it does in the middle because of this in here. Now, normally you can carry a base starter on your person and place it down if you wanted. I've got a whole lot of stuff on me. But what I prefer to do when I'm doing the building, and this is getting a little into the logistics, is I like to connect to it. And one thing they recently added is this, which allows you to connect to a device that's connected to it. So like I can access this straight from that. But now that I have this this container connected, I can connect this here, and it removes the mass from well, it used to remove it from the container, but now it counts as in the container, giving you extra slots. And as long as I'm within the range of the connection, it's there. And if for some reason the connection were to disconnect, bam, it pops back into there, if there are slots available. But in any case, that's, you know, what early hover vessels are. Now, let me show you how this maneuvers. Like, fully loaded, it works exactly the same. It just seems to you know, it's heavier because it is loaded down, so you have to take that into account when you're doing things like going uphill and things like that. So with the weight volume enabled, you have to pay very much attention to the design of your hover vessel and the positioning of items within containers, because it drastically affects hover vessels. Small vessels aren't affected nearly as badly because when they're in the air, their thrusters pretty much just keep them, you know, horizontal regardless of which side is weighed more than the other. But once they land, they will tilt if they are overtaxed on one side than the other. Now, another way that you can extend a that you can prevent a tilted hover vessel from tilting is, give me 1 second and I will show you this. If you have, say, let me just put some ore, give me this, okay, and I'm gonna put it on this side this time, all right? So if we've got this whole side completely burdened with ore, just as much ore as you can put in on one side. All right. Now, when I get in here, you're going to notice a definite tilt to the right. Did I have ore in back here? I did not. I think I just got rid of whatever ore. No, it's here. Okay. So, trash that. And you'll notice even more of a tilt now that I took that out. Now, one way that you can fix this, and I'm going to lower my height to show this. Let's lower it down to about 1 meter off the ground, all right? So, one thing you can do for a hover vessel to prevent a tilt or to correct a tilt is, I like using truss blocks for this. And what you want to do is put your thing there, what you call it, the mirror plane, and you can actually build, let's do it from here out, say like this, and put, I'm just gonna put a, where are the angled ones? Did they get rid of the angle? Hold on, no, there it is, the slope. Okay, and then you can put hover engines like so, and now when you get in it, it'll correct the tilt because you've got hover on the outside pushing both sides back, and that will help you correct tilts in here, so you don't have to worry as much about which side is weighed out more. Now, of course, if you did it like this and put it all the way out, this looks a little ridiculous, but you could design it so that, like, say this part here came out to like here and had a hover thing on it, and you know, just it causes you to focus a lot more on the design aspect of your hover vessels, and so I mean, it's just another aspect to the game. I really enjoy this, and I hope they add it to creative mode. Not so much the limiting of the of the containers with the volume, but at least add the weight so that I can test it in creative mode instead of having to come here to survival mode and test it out. But also with hover vessels, you don't want to design lopsided hover vessels. Now, another type of hover vessel, one that's a little later game, or let's see, these are some of my latest updated vessels here, and let's see if I can. This is a level 10, level 15, another level 10 that's focused more on combat, and I think it's focused more on combat. And then you've got the Megalodon over here, which is my level 20 hover vessel. This you'll notice, I might have to make that sensor extend out further beyond the door. You'll notice that it's got a the harvest container here that only has 875. And that's because even though it is meant to dig through the ground, A, there's not a whole lot of space, but B, I can put stuff back here and transfer it directly from cargo box back to here if I need to. The Bule and the Megalodon and such have two primary functions. One is mining, but that's actually a secondary function. Its primary function is to get from point A to point B. And that's where all these come in handy. You can just burrow through the ground. These two side turrets are more for mining as well. Now, these drills, I'm thinking I'm going to have to set it so those don't come out at the same time as the forward drills. But, let's see. Okay. Build this up. Now, I haven't actually tested this as much with, that's very weird. Oh, okay. With the weight volume system activated. So I'm wanting to see exactly how this will work, burrowing through the ground with weight and volume activated. And normally it works really well without it activated, so it's meant to get down even under the dirt like this and then level out and go basically straight and travel. Alright, and lock. And now it's meant to go straight from this point and basically travel, you know, straight out. And even with the regular mechanical drills, it works really well. And it seems to be working just about as well. Okay. And we're gonna drill out from the side of this hill here. But with these lasers, it can drill really, really well. But because the cargo box that you actually are drilling to is in the front, it seems like this would work quite well anyway. It's like sort of balanced anyway. And then go free, and I should be able to get out momentarily. There we go, and I'm out. It seems to work just fine. It's probably going to I'm probably going to need to see if the balance is off, but I'll do that on my own time because this was really about showing off the early hover vessels. So, but just so you guys see the costs for the early hover vessels, the early hover vessel 1, less than 50 ingots of every type. Hover vessel 2 or 3, it's level 1, level 3, level 5. Less than 100 of each, and level 5 is almost the same. It's just got a few extra devices on it. And so these are the early game hover vessels that I've built that really work well for single player use anyway. Multiplayer use, I'll have to sort of redesign some stuff and all that, but yeah, I've been talking way too long, so that's gonna be it for this little update thing. If you guys have any specific questions on hover vessels and weight and volume, or anything in general, just leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more Empyrion Galactic Survival, go ahead and subscribe. I'm KnowItAllDM, and as always, y'all have a good day now.